You know how to insert, delete, and fetch documents out of MongoDB. In this one, you're going to learn how to update documents in your MongoDB collections. And to kick things off, as usual, we're going to duplicate the last script we wrote and we'll update it for the video. I'm going to duplicate the delete file, renaming it to mongodb-update.js. And this is where we'll write our update statements. I'm also going to delete all of these statements we wrote that deleted data. Now that we have this in place, we can explore the one method we'll be looking at in this video. This one is called find one and update. It's kind of similar to find one and delete. It lets us update an item and get the new document back. So if I update it to do, setting completed equal to true, I will get that document back in the response. Now, in order to get started, we're going to be updating one of the items that we have inside of our to-dos collection. If I view the documents, we currently have two. The goal here is going to be to update the second item, the one where text equals eat lunch. We're going to try to set the completed value to true, which would be a pretty common action. If I check off a to-do item, we want to toggle that completed Boolean value. Back inside of Atom, we're going to kick things off by accessing the appropriate collection. That'll be db.collection. The collection name is uppercase T to-dos. And the method we'll be using is find one and update. Now, find one and update is going to take the most arguments we've used so far. So let's go ahead and look up the documentation for it so you can have this for future reference. Over inside of Chrome, I can close my GitHub tab. We currently have the cursor tab open. This is where we have the count method defined. If we scroll down below the cursor tab, we have our other tabs. The one we're looking for is collection. Now, inside of the collection section, we have our type defs and our methods. We're looking at methods here. So if I scroll down, we should be able to find one and update and click it. Now, find one and update takes quite a few arguments. The first one is the filter. This lets us target the document we want to update. Maybe we have the text, or most likely we have the ID of the document. Next up is the actual updates we want to make. We don't want to update the ID, we just want to filter by ID. The updates, in this case, are going to be updating that completed Boolean. Then we have some options which are defined below. We'll use just one of them, and we have our callback. We're going to leave off the callback as we've been doing so far in favor of promises. As you can see down below, it returns a promise if no callback is passed in, and that's exactly what we expect. Let's go ahead and start filling out the appropriate arguments for find one and update, kicking things off with that filter. What I'm going to do is filter by ID. Over inside of RoboMongo, I can grab the ID of this document. I'm going to edit it and copy the ID to the clipboard. Now, over inside of Atom, we can start querying. The first object, the filter, we're only looking for documents where the ID equals a new object ID with the value that we copied to the clipboard. This is all we need for the filter argument. Now, next up is going to be the actual updates we want to apply. And this is not exactly straightforward. What we have to do here is learn about the MongoDB update operators. We can view a complete list of these operators and exactly what they are by Googling MongoDB update operators. When I do this, we're looking for the mongodb.com documentation. Now, this documentation is specific to MongoDB, which means it's going to work with all of the drivers. In this case, it is going to work with our Node.js driver. And if we scroll down below, we can look at all of the update operators we have access to. The most important and the one we're going to get started with is the set operator. This lets us set a field's value inside of our update, which is exactly what we want to do. There's other operators like increment. This one, $INC, lets you increment a field's value like the age field in our users collection. All of these are super useful. We're going to get started with set though. In order to use one of these operators, what we need to do is type it out, set, and then set it equal to an object. And in this object, these are the things that we're actually going to be setting. For example, we want to set completed equal to true. If we tried to put completed equal to true at the root of this object like this, it would not work as expected. We have to use these update operators, which means we need this. And now that we have our updates in place using the set update operator, we can go ahead and provide our third and final argument. If you head over to the documentation for find one and update, we can take a look at the options real quick. The one we care about is return original. Return original is defaulted to true, which means that it returns the original document, not the updated one. And we don't want that. When we update a document, we want to get back that updated document. So what we're going to do is set return original to false. That's going to happen in our third and final argument. This one is also going to be an object, return original, setting it equal to false. Now with this in place, we are done. We can tack on a then call to do something with the results. Right here, I'll get my result back and I can simply print it to the screen and we can take a look at exactly what comes back. Excellent. And now let's go ahead and run this from the terminal. I'm going to save my file over inside of the terminal. We're going to be running node. The file is in the playground folder and we just called it mongodb-update.js. I'm going to run the script, and what do we get back? We get back the value prop just like we did when we used find one and delete, and this has our document with the completed value set to true, which is the brand new value we just set, and this is fantastic. If we head over to RoboMongo, we can confirm that the value was indeed updated. Here's the old document where the value is false. I'm going to open up a new view for to-dos, and what do we get? We have eat lunch with a completed value of true. Now that we have this in place, we know how to insert, delete, update, and read documents from our MongoDB collections. To wrap this video up, I want to give you a quick challenge. Over inside of the users collection, you should have a document. It should have some name. It's probably not Jen. It's probably something that you set. What I want you to do is update this name to your name. Now, if it's already your name, that's fine. You can change it to something else. I also want you to use that INC, the increment operator that we talked about, to increment this by 1. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how increment works. What I want you to do is head over to the docs, click on the operator, and then you can scroll down to see the examples. There's examples for each operator. It's going to become really useful to you to learn how to read documentation. Now, documentation for libraries is not always going to be the same. Everyone does it a little differently, but once you learn how to read the docs for one library, it gets a lot easier to read the docs for others. And I can only teach so much in this course. The real goal of this course is to get you writing your own code, doing your own research, and looking up your own documentation. So your goal, once again, is to update this document, setting the name to something other than what it's currently set to, and incrementing the age by 1. Take a moment to knock this out, test it, make sure it works, and when you're done, you can go ahead and click play, and I'll show you how I would have done it. Hopefully that went well. To kick things off, I'm going to grab the ID of the document right here, since this is the document I want to update. I'll copy it to the clipboard, and now we can focus on writing that statement over inside of Atom. First up, we'll update the name since we already know how to do that. Inside of Atom, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the statement I have here. I'll copy it and paste it, and then I'm going to go back and grab the ID again since I just removed it from my clipboard. Awesome. And now back inside of Atom, we can start swapping things out. First up, we're going to swap out the old ID for the new one, and we're going to change what we pass to set. Instead of updating completed, we want to update name. I'm going to set name equal to something other than Jen. I'm going to go ahead and use my name, Andrew. Now we are going to keep return original set to false. We want to get the new document back, not the original. Now, the other thing we needed to do was increment that age. This was going to be done via the increment operator, which you should have explored using the documentation over inside of Chrome. If you click on Inc, it's going to bring you to that part of the documentation. And if you scroll down, you should be able to see an example. Right here, we have an example of what it looks like to increment. We set inc just like we set set. Then inside of the object, we specify the things we want to increment and the degree to which we want to increment them. It could be -2, or in our case, it would be +1. Over inside of Atom, we can implement this. Right here, I'll set inc equal to an object, and on there, we'll increment the age by 1. And with this in place, we are now done. Before I do run this file, I am going to comment out the other call to find one and update, just leaving the new one. I also need to swap out the collection. We're no longer updating the to-dos collection, we're updating that users collection. And now we are good to go. We're setting name equal to Andrew and we're incrementing the age by 1, which means that we would expect the age in RoboMongo to be 26 instead of 25. Let's go ahead and run this by restarting the script over inside of the terminal. Then we can see our new document where the name is indeed Andrew and the age is indeed 26. And this is fantastic. Now that you know how to use the increment operator, you can also go off and learn all of the other operators you have available to you inside of your update calls. I can double check that everything did work as expected over inside of RoboMongo. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the users collection. And what do we have? We have our updated document right here. Let's wrap this video up by committing our changes over inside of the terminal. I'm going to run git status so we can view all of the changes to the repository. Here we just have one untracked file, our MongoDB update script. I'm going to use git add to add that to the next commit, and then I'll use git commit to actually make the commit. I am going to provide that M argument for message so we can specify a message, add update script. Excellent. And now we can run the commit command and push it up to GitHub so our code is backed up on our GitHub repository. With updating in place, we now have all of the basic CRUD operations down. CRUD standing for creating, reading, updating, and deleting. Up next, we're going to talk about something called Mongoose, which we'll be using for the To-Do API. It's coming up soon, so stay tuned. I will see you next time.